Sweet Jesus, Joseph. That's not a dessert. You're eating a turn 1 OTK.
Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. Today we're playing Madolche, and as anyone who watched my previous stream could tell you, it's not a deck that I'm particularly practiced in. Regardless, I've got a sweet tooth for decks that go second, so let's see what these sugary sweeties are supposed to do post-petiting Sessor. Presenting Madolche. So here's the list, and whew, I can feel my blood sugar spiking already. What a rush! As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. So firstly, for those of you that don't know, Madolche is a deck that... This is odd. I don't really have an adequate understanding of Madolche's historical context. Like most millennials, I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Throughout my childhood, quit during high school so that I wouldn't be picked last in gym class, and returned during college. Because of this, anything that came out in 2011 or 2012 is just a complete negative space in my otherwise complete and comprehensive understanding of the game. Well, a quick perusal of the fandom wiki has informed me that they are a royalty and dessert-based pun archetype whose jigsaw imagery is evocative of the combos they're responsible for. That's actually quite interesting. And a breath of fresh air from Konami's usual designs. Let me just take a look at the art and... oh, it's waifu bait. Of course. Mechanically, they all shuffle themselves back into the deck when they're sent from the field to the graveyard, a downside that's mitigated by their thematic spells and traps, which add those monsters shuffled back to hand, or let you tag in to additional Dolce dudes. But that's how the deck used to play. Nowadays, in order to be competitive, a deck needs a 7-minute long setup combo, and damn have Dolces delivered. Our list aims to blind second, and therefore is playing as many hand traps as possible. This conveniently bins monsters, turning on Hootcake as a combo starter alongside Mangeline. Through the magic of legacy support, we can flex cards like Petiting Sessor, Chocolat a la Mode, and Sistart into boards with 4 shuffle effects, graveyard interaction, and well over 8,000 points of damage. Now, it goes without saying that a deck that includes several one-card combos can bait hand traps particularly easily, but if we're interrupted at any point mid-combo, we can pivot to a backup of enough reasonably sized monsters to attack a whole bunch of times. That should be more than enough for YGO Pro. So with that, let's get into the card by card. Firstly, our Dolces, the combo starters, 3 Mangeline and 3 Hootcake, followed by their targets of choice, 3 Petiting Sessor and 1 Pudding Cess. Just look at the text on Petiting Sessor. She bears the mark of a 2019 card design. After that are 3 Angeli, responsible for some mid-chocolate combo shenanigans, and 2 Gelato, who is often the payoff. Next is the second suite, in both senses of the word, 3 Pankratops, 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Valor, and 3 Gamma. For spells, we're on 3 Extravagance, 3 Called by the Grave, 3 Twin Twisters, a Monster Reborn to play through Hate and manipulate our graveyard, and 1 each of Ticket and Chateau. In the extra, we're on an Extravagance board of Chocolat a la Mode, Tiramisu, Teacher, Sistart, and Lambda. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Hero, and do not sleep on this deck. If you're a budget player or, God forbid, a GX fanboy, 1, I'm not going to recognize your human rights, but 2, you've got to check out this deck. Vision Hero Ferris is a breath of fresh air to the archetype, and our opponent has opened not only that, but also the best Vision Hero in the game. Thankfully, our grip is good as well. We have both an Effect Veiler and a card that's particularly potent against graveyard setups. Our opponent's going to lead by normal summoning a copy of Vion. We'll activate the Effect Veiler now. I used to like to wait until the Isolde, but because Vision Hero Ferris locks you into heroes, they don't summon her much anymore. They'll go into a copy of Increase, then use Increase's effect, getting a second copy of Vion and adding a Polymerization to hand. Afterwards, they'll activate Malicious's Grave effect for a second copy of Malicious before link summoning Crossguy, using Crossguy's effect to bring back Malicious and Fusion Destiny to bring out Dominate Guy. They'll then activate Polymerization for Adoration and go into Dread Decimator, not the setup I would have preferred. I think Dominate Guy is often a noob trap. You're almost always better going into Dystopia. We'll activate Hootcake for Petiting Sessor and Petiting Sessor for Pudding Cess before overlaying into Teacher. We'll activate Teacher's effect, shuffling a couple of problematic cards from our opponent's graveyard back into the deck before going to Chocolate a la Mode, triggering her effect off of her effect for an Angeli, then activating Angeli for Mess and Gelato, getting a copy of Chateau to hand. We'll set Chateau and then trigger the effect of Chocolate a la Mode again for Mangeline, a 4, before going into Sistart and Tiramisu. We'll activate Ticket and then shuffle a bunch of cards from our opponent's field back into their extra deck, special summoning a Mess and Gelato in the process. Unfortunately, our opponent neglects to wait until the damage step and allows us to Called by the Grave this copy of Honesty Neos, meaning we can clear the board. We can't kill them, but let's see what they rip off the top. It's gonna be a Garnet. That's just the way the news goes. That's the way the news goes? I Should have said that's the way the cookie crumbles. Oh, well, it's too late now. Our second match is up against Pendulum, and you can bet they're doing some Guard Dragon shenanigans. Thankfully, our hand is full of must negates, so maybe we can do it. They're going to lead with a copy of Master Cerberus. They'll activate its effect to get a Jackal King to hand before activating Dragon Shrine, activating Dark Worm's effect, and adding a Gate 0 to hand. Afterwards, they'll activate Jackal King's effect to get a Master Cerberus and link summon a copy of Electromite. They're going to set Gate 0 and pop it to draw a card. Afterwards, they're going to set Scales and Pendulum summon 4 in the year of our Lord 2019. They'll activate Harmonizing Magician's effect for a 7 so they can overlay into Absolute, and link summon Ebe, activating Absolute's Graveyard effect for a Vortex. They'll go into Elpie, who now has Zones, and then activate Dragon Caller to go into Agarpin. Archfiend Abyss, Heavenly Spheres, and Beat Cop. Okay, maybe we can do this. We're going to activate Twin Twisters in draw phase, and they let it resolve. We'll activate Pot of Extravagance, and that'll fetch a negation. Okay, next we're going to activate the effect of Petite Incesseur. They'll negate that, as well they should. Afterwards, we'll special summon a copy of Pankratops to prompt this Heavenly Spheres, and oh my god, we can combo off! We can do it! Oh, sloth! We're going to have to go to battle phase first, which is not ideal, but it means in main phase 2 we can get Petite Incesseur because we didn't use her other effect. We'll go into Pudding Sis. We'll go into Teacher. We'll activate Teacher's effect, shuffle a couple of cards back before going to Chocolate a la Mode. Chocolate a la Mode is going to shuffle back Chateau. We'll special summon a copy of Angeli. Use Angeli's effect for Messengelato, adding back the Chateau we shuffled, then activating Chateau, triggering Chocolate a la Mode's effect for Messengelato. Afterwards, we're adding Ticket. We're going into Sistart and... Wait, Teacher? All we had to go into was Tiramisu. What? No. No! Extravagance! How could you do this to me? Ah, well, the pot of greed giveth and the pot of greed taketh away. It's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's on Sky Striker, a deck that was neutered on the previous ban list, but certainly not destroyed. It remains one of the top options, and our opponent is going first. Let's see if they can stop us. They're going to lead with a copy of Area 0, targeting their set card, and what do they find off the top? But Ray. Always Ray. Well, after that, they're going to normal summon a copy of Ray and special summon a copy of Kana before activating Engage, and that is time in the round, ladies and gentlemen. They'll then go into a Kagari, adding back the Engage. They'll set the multi-roll, activate Shizuku's effect, and ho-ho, add a second Engage. Greedy. We rip Twin Twisters, as one does, and are able to clear the floodgates that would otherwise have shut us out of the game. Our opponent's going to chain their own copy of MST for a Ray. A blocker won't help you now. We have full combo. We'll go Mangeline into Petite Incesseur, into Pudding Sis, into Teacher. We'll activate Teacher's effect, which is incidentally quite good against Sky Striker. Afterwards, going to activate the effect of Chocolate a la Mode to get a copy of Angeli. We'll use Angeli's effect for Hoot Cake. We'll then use Hoot Cake's effect in order to get a copy of Messengelato. Messengelato is going to add a copy of Chateau, which will activate, triggering the effect of Chocolate a la Mode for a second copy of Messengelato, which will add a Ticket. After that, we'll go into a fresh Sistart before going to Queen Tiramisu and shuffling a whole bunch of cards on our opponent's side of the field back into the deck. After that, we're going to trigger Ticket for a Messengelato, and this should be lethal. 2K, 2100, 2100, and 2700. Alright, well, it's time for game 2, and oh god, our opponent has figured out our weakness. They're making us go first. This hand is miserable on the play, but notably does include a 1-card play starter. Let's see just how far our combo can take us. We're going to lead by activating Petite Incesseur's effect, special summoning herself, and then special summoning a Pudding Sis from deck. We'll overlay into a copy of Teacher to get a Dolce in graveyard before overlaying again into a copy of Chocolate a la Mode, using her first effect to shuffle the Petite Incesseur, and second to special summon an Angeli from deck. We'll use Angeli's effect to get a Hoot Cake, Hoot Cake's effect to get a copy of Messengelato, Messengelato to get a Chateau to hand, then we'll activate Chateau, triggering the effect of Chocolate a la Mode once again to get a second Messengelato, who will add a Ticket to hand. We'll then go into Sistart and a copy of Teacher. That's instant speed disruption, a protected Ticket. We might be able to do this. Our opponent's going to lead with a copy of Mystical Space Typhoon, but thankfully they set this copy of Multi-Roll first, so I'm going to chain Twin Twister. When they activate this copy of Drones, we're going to shuffle back everything in their graveyard because I don't want them adding it back with Kagari. They'll go for an Engage off of a Hayate, but thankfully we have just the Veiler to prevent that from being added. Afterwards, they're going to go into Kana, lock our monster, Jamming Wave their own spell. Oh shoot, that's a creative way to clear our board, and allows them to proc the effect of Hercules base before they go into Shizuku, set 1, and pass. Okay, we basically have to win this turn, and we will, provided that set card is not exactly Shark Cannon. Are you kidding me? Well, we'll set this copy of Called by the Grave. We can't attack, of course, because we're Kana locked, and now they're able to activate Afterburners to destroy their own monster and our field spell. They'll activate Hornet Drones again and go into Kagari. They'll use Kagari's effect to add back the Engaged, successfully adding a copy of Widow Anchor to hand, taking our monster, and I've seen enough. So it's time for that all-important Game 3, and wow, look at these openers. We both got exactly what we want. An Engage and a multi-roll from our opponent, and 3 hand traps for us. Yikes. Our opponent's going first. They're going to start with a copy of Multi-Roll, targeting their set card, which we now know is a Widow Anchor. They're then going to activate Engage, normal summon a copy of Ray, go into Kagari. They'll activate Kagari's effect, Wheel Gamma, they'll Ash, and Wheel Effect Veiler. Ha ha! Afterwards, they're going to reset this copy of Widow Anchor at end step and activate Shizuku's effect. Fun fact, Gamma is not once per turn. We'll go ahead and activate his effect, which destroys the Shizuku. We know they have a Widow Anchor set, and Can this hand not beat a Widow Anchor? Are you kidding me? All of this? And we're going to lose to a single target monster negate? Alright, well I guess we'll just pass back to our opponent and hope for the best. They're going to leave with an Upstart Goblin before Link summoning a copy of Hayate. I'll add a copy of Ray to hand, then activate Engage for Area 0. They're going to multi-roll the Area 0 for a Ray, then they'll normal summon Ray. Oh, no. You are not OTKing us today. Okay, now they have monsters in their zones, so they're forced to go into Phoenix and reveal a second copy of Engage. They're going to attach a copy of Hercules base to this copy of Nightmare Phoenix, draw a card. We shuffle back this copy of Mangeline and... we still might be able to do this. Okay, we're going to normal summon a copy of Angeli. Oh, they have the Widow Anchor. Okay, alright, pack it up. So, we're back with the deck and... alright, that was pretty strong. It feels very much like a type of combo deck that doesn't exist anymore. You know, one that attacks. But it's put up a convincing argument for its playability. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, it's got surprisingly few unplayable hands. There are a great number of pseudo-garnets, but it's shocking how far a little creativity with lines can get you. Almost every 5-card opener can produce a full combo through hate. 2, sometimes Tierra Masu just wins you the game. She's absolutely bonkers, even now, and decks often just aren't equipped to deal with her particular brand of removal. And 3, it's satisfying to play a combo deck that, instead of assembling 17 negates and staring at your opponent with the DreamWorks face, actually gets to make it to the battle phase. And the cons. 1, while the combo is extremely resilient early, if your opponent is practiced, they'll know how to deal with your fragile mid-combo choke points and prevent your payoffs. 2, there are some oddities in the monster lineup. The Mangeline opens require no monsters in the graveyard, but the Hootcake opens require there to be monsters in the graveyard, so tunneling onto a specific one cuts off your options for the others. And 3, wow, this deck sucks going first. All in all, it's a fun deck with a ton of play, and despite successfully avoiding a sugar rush for years, I'm hooked. So that's that. While I appreciate all of my viewers, a special thanks to my patrons, especially Colin Whalen, Michael Salmuir, Distrin, Lucas Geardis, Adam Trevino, Second, Lieutenant Labcoat, Meepmoto27, Adrian Bra, Isaac Jackson, and Ace Enigma. If you want to see me play the decks I make on this show on stream, I'm on twitch.tv/mbtygo every Monday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.